Good morning, Evelyn Knights. This is Mrs. Hackensmith. Today is Wednesday, April 29th. We are getting down to the end of the month of April. And as you've probably been told, the governor of Minnesota has asked us to continue distance learning throughout the rest of the year. So I'm very sad to hear that, because that means that we aren't going to be able to get together again in our classroom, and it makes me sad. I will truly miss each and every one of you. You have been wonderful kiddos this year. We have been working, the second grade teachers have been working hard at school to get your last packet of matrices made and your last packet of math papers. And we put in special memory book pages that you can make. We usually make those in class at the end of second grade, but we won't be able to do that together. But we did put in some of those pages so that you can make it at home. And we'll talk you through that on the videos. So our last distribution is going to be Monday, May 4th. That's when you're going to pick up your last packet. And then that is when we will clean out your desks. Actually, the teachers are going to clean out your desks, and they're going to bag everything up. And then we're going to clean out your lockers and bag everything up in your lockers. And then mom or dad are going to come on Monday, and they're going to pick everything up. And then you're just going to continue to watch the videos throughout the end of May. And that'll be our school year. It breaks my heart. We're going to be missing out on a lot of fun things. And that's just part of this crazy virus that's taking all of this time and togetherness away from us. But know that I really care about each and every one of you. And I have been so privileged to have you in my class this year. And I'm really going to miss you. Alrighty, just wanted to put that out there. Have a little heart-to-heart with you today before we get into our lesson. So, you're great kids. You really are. All right, let's get into our lesson then. We have been reading Lions at Lunchtime. And yesterday, you were supposed to draw your picture about the day before you drew your picture, and yesterday you were supposed to write if your prediction was correct or not. So I apologize. I worked at school all yesterday, and so I haven't had a chance to look at Seesaw. That's on my plan, on my agenda for today. So today, hopefully, I'll be looking at your Seesaws and looking through to see if your predictions were correct or not. And by today, I mean on Tuesday, because I always film this a day ahead of time. So on Tuesday, yesterday, if you're looking at this now, I will have gone through your Seesaws. Okay, so we left off on page lesson 8, or chapter 8. And I'm going to read you the last page like I always do. They saw long giraffes walking from tree to tree eating the leaves. And they saw a bunch of lions sleeping in the shade of the tree. The same tree that the treehouse was in. Whoops, said Annie. Jack's heart gave a jump. So there they are, he said. Remember, this whole time he's been wondering, where are those lions? Excuse me. Because he knew they were there. He just didn't know where they were. So they've just solved the riddle, and the answer being the honey. And they just had a treat with the Maasai warrior, the Maasai warrior, Maasai warrior. And they had peanut butter and honey sandwiches. So, is that how you thought they were going to use the peanut butter? That's not how I thought they were going to use the peanut butter. I thought the peanut butter was going to have something to do with the lions. And I was pleasantly surprised that my prediction was incorrect. Remember, it's okay if your prediction's incorrect. It makes the book a little bit more exciting. I didn't know they were going to meet the warrior and have peanut butter and honey sandwiches. Have you ever had a peanut butter and honey sandwich? Might be something you want to try for lunch today. They are very tasty. My husband eats peanut butter and honey on his toast in the morning. That's what he enjoys. Alrighty. So, on today we are supposed to read chapters 9 and 10. And I believe that finishes up our book. I hope you enjoyed the book. All right, so I'm going to go over to the book camera, and I will get that set up, and we will read the last 2 chapters together. Okay, here we are at the book camera. We see Jack and Annie, and here's the tree. It has the tree house in it. We can see the ladder going up. And below the tree, there is the daddy lion, the mommy lion, and some lion cubs there. How are they going to get back into the tree house? We'll have to make some predictions in our head. It's always fun to think of an answer and see if you're correct or not. All right, we're going to continue with chapter 9 called Tiptoe. Jack and Annie crouched in the tall grass. There was a big lion, 3 lionesses, and a bunch of cubs. A lioness is the girl lion. I think they're sleeping, whispered Annie. Yeah, said Jack, but for how long? He pulled the Africa book from his pack and opened it. He found a picture of lions sleeping under a tree. He read in a whispery voice. After a pride of lions has eaten, they rest for a few hours. The other, what did they have for lunch? Annie broke in. Don't ask, said Jack. He kept reading. Sensing that the lions are not hunting at the moment, the other animals graze nearby. If they can graze, then we're safe, said Annie. She started to stand. Wait, Jack pulled her down. Not so fast. He peered around. The words in the book seemed true. The zebras and giraffes didn't seem to be bothered by the lions at all. They might be safe, but I'm not sure about us, said Jack. We need a plan. Well, what if we wait till they leave, said Annie. Well, that could take hours, said Jack. Plus, they might be hungry again by then. Oh, right, said Annie. So here's the plan. We tiptoe, said Jack. Tiptoe? Yeah. That's your whole plan? Said Annie. Yeah. Tiptoe to the rope ladder, said Jack, very quietly. Good plan, Annie teased. Just do it, said Jack. He stood up slowly. Annie stood with him. They began tiptoeing through the grass, very slowly. The lion flicked his tail. Jack and Annie froze. When his tail was still again, they moved again. Suddenly, high-pitched laughter split the air. Uh-oh. Remember the hyenas? Next to the lion, they're like the second ferocious animal. Jack and Annie stopped. The hyenas were back. They were standing off to the side, watching Jack and Annie. Jack and Annie made silent monster faces and shook their fists, but the hyenas only laughed some more. The lion stirred lazily. He opened his golden eyes. Jack felt the hair rise on the back of his neck, but he didn't move an inch. The lion lifted his head and yawned. His giant teeth gleamed in the sunlight. The lion turned his head as he looked around sleepily. Jack held his breath as the lion's gaze rested on him. The lion sat straight up. His piercing yellow eyes met Jack's. Jack's heart raced. His mind raced. He remembered something he'd read. Lions avoid giraffes. Do you remember we read about that at the very beginning of the book? Jack looked around. There was a giraffe walking toward the tree that the magic tree house was in. Suddenly, he had a new plan. "Get under that giraffe," he whispered. "Now you're the one who's nuts," Annie whispered back. But Jack grabbed her hand. He pulled her over to the giraffe and underneath it. The giraffe's legs were so long, Jack and Annie could stand up under it. Jack's head barely brushed the giraffe's golden belly. The tall creature froze for a few seconds. Then she moved slowly toward the tree. Jack and Annie walked in the same rhythm as the giraffe. So in your mind, can you see Jack and Annie underneath that giraffe and they're walking together to the treehouse? Make that picture in your mind. Jack and Annie walked in the same rhythm as the giraffe. They got closer and closer to the treehouse, and closer to the pride of lions, the group of lions. The big lion had stood up. He watched them moving under the giraffe. When the rope ladder was just a few feet away, Jack and Annie dashed out from under the giraffe to the rope ladder. Annie scrambled up first. Jack followed right behind her. As they climbed, the lion growled and leaped at the ladder. The hyenas laughed. Jack climbed faster than he'd ever climbed. He leaped after Annie into the treehouse. There they are climbing up. Now, do you remember how Morgan Le Fay was the pteranodon in our Dinosaurs Before Dark book? I wonder if Morgan Le Fay has transformed herself into the giraffe to help them get back to safety. That's an idea. Annie had already unrolled the scroll. The riddle was gone. In its place was the shimmering word, honey. Remember, honey was the answer. Jack grabbed the Pennsylvania book. He opened it and found the picture of Frog Creek Woods. "I wish we could go there," he said. Just then, the giraffe stuck her head through the window. "Bye, honey," said Annie, and she kissed the giraffe on the nose. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10, After Lunch. Jack opened his eyes. His heart was still racing. Hyena laughter still rung in his ears. "We made it," said Annie. "Yes," said Jack, "but it was very close." Jack took another moment to calm down. Then he pulled the Africa book out of his pack and put it with the other books. Annie put the scroll with the other 2 scrolls. The giraffe was the true honey on that trip, she said. Sweet and golden, with danger all around it. Yup, Jack said. And now we have just one riddle to go. Yup, said Annie. Ready? Ready. She started down the ladder. Jack followed. When they hit the ground, they walked through the sunlit woods. It's time for lunch, said Jack. I'm full from our picnic, said Annie. Same here, said Jack. What do we tell Mom, said Annie. We say we ate our sandwiches coming back from the store, said Jack. What if she asks why, said Annie. Oh, just say we had a picnic with a Maasai warrior in Africa, said Jack. Annie laughed. Right, she said, because we didn't want him to be mad at us for taking his honey. Right, said Jack. The honey from a beehive that a honey guide led us to. Right, said Annie. And that happened right after an elephant gave me a shower and we scared off 2 hyenas. Right, said Jack. And after you fell into a mud hole because you were helping 1,000,000 wildebeest migrate across the river. Right, said Annie. And all that was before a giraffe saved us from a lion. Right, said Jack. Jack and Annie left the Frog Creek woods and started up their sunny street. They were silent for a moment. Then Jack pushed his glasses into place. We better just say we ate our sandwiches on the way home from the store, he said. Right, said Annie. And if Mom asks why, started Jack. We'll just say it's a really long story, said Annie. Right, said Jack. With like 10 chapters. Annie laughed. Good plan, she said. Very good plan, said Jack. They crossed their yard. They went up their steps and through their front door. We're back, Annie shouted. Great, called their mom. Ready for lunch? And of course, there's our jar of peanut butter. Another nice story about Jack and Annie. Lions at lunchtime. Remember, there's a whole bunch of books written by Mary Pope Osborne, and you can check them out in the library when it's time to get back to the Nevlin Library or even the public library when it opens again. So I hope you enjoyed it. All right, now let's take a look at the matrix. Today on the matrix, it says read chapters 9 and 10. We did that. Then it says go back to page 13 and read the riddle. What is the answer? Draw a picture and tell me on seesaw or tell a family member. So in your book, turn back to 13. Here is the riddle. I am the color of gold and as sweet as can be, but beware of the danger that's all around me. What am I? Now, when I first read this, I was thinking of the grass on the plains where the lions and the animals live. I thought that that's what they meant when they were talking about the color of gold. So that was my first thought when I read the riddle. So now, of course, we know the answer is honey. So draw a picture of that, and then you can put it on seesaw, or you can just tell a family member. All right, I suppose we better read the directions first for our math before we do our math. All right, on the matrix it says do independent practice numbers 3 through 7 on pages 569 and 570. And then be sure to do the right math too. All right, so just like yesterday, only this one you're going to do on your own. We have the tally chart over here. You're going to put the data from the tally chart over here on the line plot. Now I've labeled mine underneath, and you can go ahead and do that too if you want. So this is the number of brothers that people had. Alrighty, so I put under here number of brothers. So remember, this is the number of brothers down here, 0 brothers, 1 brother, 2 brothers, all the way up to 10 brothers. And the tally mark is the number of people that have that many brothers. So for 0 brothers, we have 3 people, because there are 3 tally marks that have 0 brothers. So remember then, you're going to go to the 0 and you're going to put 3 X's starting from the bottom and going up vertically to show that 3 people had 0 brothers. Okay. Then you're going to do the same thing for number 4, the number of cousins. So this is how many people had 4 cousins. And then we're going to have the number of aunts. So this many people had 3 aunts. Okay. Then on the back side is the brain builders. So we are going to go ahead and do the brain builders today. So you're going to read the question. Eli asked 10 classmates how many glasses of water they drink each day. So he asked 10 people, how many glasses of water? So down here I wrote number of glasses of water. Okay, and then he gives you clues. 2 people said 1. 3 people, I'm going to underline that. 2 people said 1. 3 people said 0. 3 people said 4. Everyone else said 6. So you're going to have to figure out how many everyone else is. So you've got a multi-step process going on there. Number 7. Sydney asked 15 friends how many times they exercise each week. The same number of people said 1 time and 3 times. So we don't know how many, but we do know that they are the same. So you're going to have to do a multi-step process here to figure out how many times that is. 5 people said 2 times. 4 people said 4 times. So fill in the information for what you know, and that'll help you figure out what you don't know. And then down here on the right math, can you use a line plot to show data about a favorite color? Good question. Need to think about that. Alrighty. So you are going to draw a picture about the answer to the riddle for reading today. And then you are going to finish the independent practice here for the math. And then you are all done and ready to go out and play. Thank you, boys and girls, for always doing your very best work. And I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.